Hello everyone. Hello. Welcome back to my channel, Tea Talks with Joe. Thank you for taking some time to view this video that I am conducting tonight on this wonderful Tuesday. Okay, it is Tuesday. It's a rainy night at that. But thank you guys for just taking a moment to check it out. I hope you like it. Tonight I am bringing out a new topic. Fight for your life. I'm going to have different parts to this topic, but tonight I'm talking about fight for your life after a divorce. Life after a divorce. Fight for your life. And that fight, what I'm talking about is fighting for your future, fighting for your foundation, fighting for the legacy, fight to conquer. Fight to be in abundance. That's that fight that I'm talking about when I am discussing fight for your life. So we're going to jump into this, but before we do, it's Tea Talks with Joe. You have your tea or whatever you decide to sip on tonight. I always have my tea, my wonderful teacup here. Came from Martha's Vineyard. Definitely love the vineyard. So let's take a sip. We're going to jump right into this because this is very, very, very a good topic. Fight for your life. The whole session of this in each individual session is very important because we deal with these things on a daily basis. So we got to always know that we are important during the time that we are going through these life changing events. Don't forget about yourself because that is the fight. And if you are well, then everything else will be well. So let's go ahead and kick it up. Let's get us a little sip. And let's do this thing, all right? Fight for your life. As you know, I got my notes right here, so I'll be turning my head, reading from my notes, and also engaging with you guys here in the camera. So I'm going to start here by reading my notes because I want to read verbatim what I have on here because I don't want to miss anything. It's always important to me. I think about that. I don't want to miss anything that I put in here during my writing because I want to give it to y'all just the way it came to me, okay? So fight for your life. Life after a divorce. When you are well, your children, your household, everything around you will be well. When you are well. My mother told me that when I was going through my divorce. My personal experience, my mind was everywhere. I was trying to grasp the fact that I was entering into the world of being a single lady after 13 years. I met my ex-husband when I was 19 years old. We were together for 13 years. At this time, I am a 30-something-year-old woman. So I had to grasp the fact that I was entering into the single life, the single world, after 13 years of being married. I questioned how was I going to financially care for myself as well as 2 kids? How am I going to handle the effect the divorce have on the kids? These are things that I was questioning myself. How was co-parenting going to go? Will I like the new woman he decides to date and bring around my children? Will I be able to keep a good foundation and support system for my kids? How am I going to balance life, work, my home, my school? I was in school at the time. My children. How am I going to balance all these things and how am I going to handle all these things that we just discussed? And after thinking about all of that, sometimes on a daily basis, all through the week, all through the months and months and months after that, these are things that I am dealing with mentally. And then after all said and done, at the end of the day or at the end of the thoughts when I'm tired of thinking about all this, then it's me. It's little on me. Where have I fit myself in all of these other things that are tormenting my mind? Where did I think about myself in this? Well, as everyone else, if they had dealt with a divorce, I myself was thinking of myself last because I had to carry so much weight for everything else. Then it was a little on me. I was dealing with anxiety, stress, worry. I was grieving. You grieve during a divorce. A divorce is a loss. So there's a grieving process. I was trying to validate my character for what others were saying about me, on what others were saying that what the divorce was about, or what others were saying that what I should do and what I should not do. I'm steady trying to validate my character, trying to keep my sanity, trying to provide for my children and myself, trying to keep focus on my kids, because during a divorce your mind is going on with so many things. And if you have children that are in their teens or approaching their teens, those were my kids, that's a very important part of their lives. So we can't lose focus on them because they hormones going everywhere. They meeting new friends. They're starting middle school. A lot of stuff is going on with them. So I couldn't lose focus of them. So trying to keep focus of them, trying to maintain my mental health, trying to maintain the kids' mental health because they're going through this with you. So I'm trying to make sure that they're okay mentally, trying to keep them busy with activities so that they won't have that time where they're grieving. So I'm trying to keep them busy, trying to not allow my hurt to trample down onto them, trying not to let them carry the weight I was carrying, trying to make sure that this circle of chaos is okay, that everyone involved is okay. Dealing with loneliness. You deal with loneliness after you've been with someone a long time and now you're on the divorce scene. Even if you haven't dealt with them in a long time and you're on the divorce side of things, now you deal with loneliness because you like a companion. So you're looking for that compassionate care. You don't have that. Because when you are the one at home making sure everybody else is okay, many people are not concerned if you're okay because you're looking like macho woman or macho man. You got it all together. That's because you have to have it together. So I was trying to keep myself strong physically and mentally. Exercises is good for the mind. So I'm out walking, I'm exercising, I'm trying to keep myself busy. Wanted to do some kickboxing, relieving some stress. So I'm trying to keep myself strong physically and mentally. After taking on all these tasks, and taking on all these burdens and weight that you're carrying, I had to ask myself, what have I done to make sure that I am well? Have I contributed anything to myself after all is said and done? What have I done to benefit my well-being? So I ask you as well. If you're someone that has gone through a divorce, what have you done to make sure that you are well? Okay. You ask yourself, what can you do? Sometimes you might have to write it down. What are some things can you do? Or what should you do? Who's going to approve what you decide to do for self? A lot of times when you are a divorcee, you're waiting on someone's approval for you to take care of yourself. So you're waiting for that validation of somebody putting a stamp on it before you do it. You can't do that. I mean, you can, but I don't think you want to. Okay, so don't look for that validation for someone to approve your self-care. And then ask yourself, why are you concerned about who approves it? Why are you concerned of that? A lot of times when certain individuals are in marriages, they get so caught up in their spouses that they have totally forgotten about themselves. That's why they're looking for that approval. That's why they are concerned on what other people have to say when they start taking care of themselves. So are you going to feel selfish for taking care of yourself? Will you believe me if I said for a period of time while going through this, while trying to support the kids, while trying to take on all of this task, that you're going to have to take some time to be selfish? And when you do, don't beat yourself up for doing so. Because when you are well, your children will fall in line because they're following your lead. They're following how the way you feel. They're following your hurt. They're following your responses. They're following your movement in the house. They know when you are not well. So when you're not well, they're not going to be well. Your household is not going to be well. And it's full of a lot of chaos that is just in a not well situation. So when you are well, everything around you will be well. So you may ask yourself, same thing I had to ask myself. So how do I get well? How do I start? How do I start without feeling bad about doing this? How do I start not taking on the concern of how the children going to feel? Your children will make you feel bad for taking care of yourself because they want all of that attention, but you got to find balance. And you have to make sure that you're okay. Okay? So let's go down. I got a couple of things here that I'm going to, a list that I have on things that help me, things that I think that may help you. But also there's probably a lot of other things that could be added onto this list. But these are some things that I thought were very important. And a lot of them are some things that people don't really think about or bring up, or address in situations like this when they're talking to other people. But I think that these are very helpful. So the first one I have on the list is don't look for validation from others. And we talked about that. So some things must be personal. That's between you and the Father. You don't need validation from people. It's okay to have certain people that you call to relieve stress, or you need to talk about what's going on, but you're not doing those things for them to validate or dictate what you should do. You know within your individual self what it is that you need. So don't look for validation. And don't hold back from taking care of yourself because someone has not jumped on the bandwagon of what you're saying, even if you share that with them. If they go against what you're trying to say, make the decision for yourself. Don't get caught up on what people think that you should do for your kids, for your co-parenting situation, for yourself, or any situation that you are faced with and that you're dealing with after the divorce. So that can run very deep and it can run for a long time, because after the divorce, don't let people dictate what you should do for your kids, yourself, your co-parent. So co-parenting, you know that's already a given. After divorce, you're going to be faced with that. But don't get people involved when one of the other parties start dating with somebody else, start dating someone else. Don't get them involved to start validating and telling you or entertaining how you should handle that situation when you have to co-parent with someone that has met someone new. Because that there will lead you down a road that you really, really don't want to go. Because once you go down that road, it stays there. Because that person that's dating the new person has this concept and this thought about you that you're going to react like that on everything new that comes to them. So if they get a new spouse, they get a new house, they get a new car, they get a new whatever, from moving away, moving in a different direction, or moving forward from the divorce that you and them had, when they start moving and growing, they're always going to think that you have a certain mentality about their growth because how you allowed somebody else to direct you or validate some things or make some decisions for you that wasn't good for your situation, and you entertained it and it caused a big mess. Okay, so don't look for validation from people. Number 2, take time to breathe. Take time to breathe. Take some time to sit alone. Meditate on your future that you desire and write it down. Write it down. You know, when I say take time to breathe, that's just do nothing. You're not doing chores. You're not running the kids to activities. You're not trying to do your hair. You're not trying to go to the barber, whatever. All of these tasks. Because listen, when you go through a divorce, you're doing it by yourself now. So you're busy from the time you wake up in the morning to the time you go to sleep at night. But you got to squeeze some time in there to breathe. Go to your room. Take some time out. Go to your room. Take some time out. My glasses crooked. Go to a park. Sit there by yourself. If you got small kids, let the kids run around. But just sit and take time to think. Take time to breathe. You got to take that all in. If you just going, and you have not really dealt with what is going on in your life at that time, when you do stop, you're going to crash. And that may be years after the fact. That may be when the kids have left the nest. That means when something else done happened and it made you stop, then all of that is going to hit on you at one time. Number 3, don't blame yourself for the divorce, especially if it was in your best interest to divorce. Don't blame yourself either way, but if it was in your best interest to divorce, do not beat yourself up about it. Don't allow the effects of the divorce, because I have not seen that one divorce to where each party was happy that they were divorcing and they just happy-go-lucky and just left. It's going to get a little ugly. And don't beat yourself up because now you may be in a lesser income bracket. You know, the kids don't have everything that they used to have because now mom or dad are on one income. Don't beat yourself up about that. Don't beat yourself up for the kids feeling some type of way. A lot of people stay in marriages for children. But are you well while you staying in those marriages for children? Don't beat yourself up for that. Don't beat yourself up for your mind is going to be thinking also, I should have never got divorced. Even if it was in your best interest to do so, you're going to think about that because you're going to be dealt with some situations that's not going to feel good. But when you don't beat yourself up and you focus on, I need to get myself well. Yes, you got to go through the motions, but in those motions, focus on your well-being. Focus on your end result, where you're desiring to be. Like we say, write it down. Focus on that. Go through what you need to go through, but don't lose sight on this is going to be okay. I'm going to be okay. My children are going to be okay. My house will be okay. My home will be okay. Okay? We talked about number 4. Don't beat yourself up when your kids begin to act out. You can deal with that. Remember, get well, and your kids will get well. Kids feed off your energy, so don't beat yourself up if they are acting out. Sometimes that's just a natural for them. They're going through this divorce with you. So if they are acting out, guess what? We got to think of some things so all of us are well. But you got to get yourself well first so that you can be able to take care of them. You can't give them something that you are not. So you got to get well first. And in the midst of you getting well, then you're able to teach them how to heal. Then you're able to teach them how to cope. You're able to do those things when you're practicing them things yourself. Number 5, talk with your kids. Okay? Open communication is the key, no matter how old they are. Of course, you don't want to talk to them about negativity. You want to block out negativity that people are trying to feed them. You have to talk to them and let them know, listen, this is what's going on. But this is what we're going to do, and this is how we're going to support each other. We are here for each other. Don't leave the kids out there trying to assume what's going to happen to them. Don't make them assume they have to choose a side. You have to talk with them on the level or whatever age they are and explain to them that there's what's going on, but we're here, we're going to support each other, and this is what we're going to do, and we're going to be okay. We're going to make it through this. Number 6, don't talk down on your ex in front of your kids. That is a hard thing not to do, okay? Easily said than done. But I will tell you this. If you step away, step outside, take some time to address those issues. If a girlfriend or your homeboy call and they want to talk and that's the person that you normally vent to, and you got your children there, they at the dinner table, or, they can hear what you're saying, you might want to tell them, hey, I got my kids with me right now. I'll call you on tomorrow on this, or, you and I will talk about this tomorrow. And that's the person that you are, you vent to. It's not good to vent to 700 people. It's not good to do that, because then you got everybody's opinions coming in and out of what your situation is. And you don't want to have that leading you in the wrong direction. We talked about that. So don't have those conversations in front of your kids. Of course you're mad. Nobody's going to sit and say, oh, I never had nothing bad to say. Yes, you did. But it's just not good to have those conversations in front of the children. It's going to save a lot of drama. Not only drama, but it's going to prevent future division between your kids and your ex. So you don't want to do that. Because if you're doing that and the kids hear that, that runs a long time. And by the time you're trying to grab it and correct it, it's gone. It's gone. You can't even correct it. So try to avoid from doing that. Number 7. Don't compare your fight with others, okay? What you're going through, you may know another person that went through a divorce. You may know another person that had situations, co-parent after the divorce. Don't base your fight with someone else. Focus on your desire and what you foresee in the future, or how this co-parenting is going to go good, accordingly. It's going to be healthy. How these kids are going to react or be affected with this separation. Look at the good about it. We're going to be okay. We're going to be supportive. We're going to do this. And sometimes it's not going to happen right then and there. So don't look for a quick turnaround. And don't give up. Fight. Fight for your future. Fight for your legacy after the divorce. You got to fight. It'd be healthy for you to fight. It will be the best interest for you to fight. It's easy to give up and say, you know what? I've been trying to do this a couple of months, a couple of years with this person, and this is just the impossible. They're not supporting. They're not co-parenting. They don't want to do this. They don't want to do that. Hey, if they decide to totally just say no, that's a different subject. It's nothing you can do about that. But if they are presently there and they're doing something, they may not be doing it to the extent of your desire. But eventually, if you keep nurturing it, it'll turn around. But there's some things got to be done for that not to be damaged to the fact that it cannot turn around. And these are the things we're talking about. These things that we need to put into place, and some things that we have to do and address so that that fight won't end defeated. Okay. Number 8, we talked about that. Focus on the end results. Focus on your desired end results. Number 9, don't lose yourself. Don't lose yourself. And this is not just a woman thing. This is a man thing as well. Some men they just look like they're just helpless. They just look like they're just lifeless. Women, sometimes some women just let their appearance go down. They stop caring how the way they look. They so wrapped up on the stress, the anxiety, they're worrying all the time. You know, they begin to look like what they're going through. Man and woman, they begin to look like what they're going through. You cannot lose yourself, because that's going to bring you in a depressed state of mind. And it's going to keep you in a depressed state of mind that is going to affect everything around you. You know, you got to be involved in some social groups. Keep your appearance up. Take walks. Engage in friendship. Don't block out friendship because you're going through something. Don't be embarrassed that you are going through something. Don't be embarrassed. Don't hold your head down. As hard as that may be to do, you got to fight for that. You got to show up in what you're designed to be for your future. You got to show up and start doing that at that moment so that you won't lose yourself. You ever been out somewhere and you can look at people in the grocery store, or you can look at people at your children's school and say, whew, they're going through something. That's true. Don't lose yourself. Number 10, don't jump into another relationship prematurely. Some people think that the way they get over another person is to be with another person. No, don't get the rebound person. Nothing good's come from that. I only seen, I've only seen only 2 circumstances that they dated prematurely, got married, still married. happily ever after. Okay. But I'm saying 2 out of, I can't even keep counting. Because that person that's coming along after that you jump into prematurely, the majority of the time, you jump into that person. If you are a divorcee, you jump into that person to fulfill loneliness, companionship. You want them to take you out. You want them to make you feel better about your situation. You want that person to heal you of what you're going through when they cannot. They can't do that. Only you can do that. So you think that and then another thing, when you date prematurely or get in a relationship prematurely, after a divorce, you hold that person that you're dating to an obligation to make you feel better, to heal you. You're holding them to the obligation. You're hard on them. Because everything that you're dealing with, you want them to have an answer for that. You want them to do something about it. When indeed you should have did that work and doing something about all of that prior to you inviting them into your lives. You taking all of that baggage and throwing it on this person, and you want them to fix it. You got to take time to deal with that. You got to take time to discover who you are after a divorce. I mentioned earlier, I met my ex-husband. I was 19 years old. We divorced when we were in our early 30s. I was not the same woman. In a marriage, especially when you marry at a young age, it's like you're growing up together. So the person that you thought you were after a divorce, you need to discover who you really are, because you may be a totally different person. And I was one of those people. I was a totally different person after my divorce. I did not know who that woman was. I liked her. That woman was bold. That woman was strong. That woman would take risks. That woman an awesome woman. Now, I was an awesome woman when I was in my marriage now. But however, some of the things I listed was kind of set dormant when I was married. I wasn't that kind of soft-spoken, shy woman after my divorce. And I said, whoa, who's this woman? But I liked her, I loved her, and I am still loving her. And she is still growing. So you have to take time out to know who you really are. Okay, number 11. I had a couple of things on here, but these are good, guys. Number 11. Try to build and give it a strong fight, okay? A strong co-parenting foundation. You would not believe how beneficial that would be. And then also you don't want to even imagine how detrimental it would be. Because if you don't have that, although you can be all woman and all man, it is extremely hard to do parenting alone. Extremely hard. So if you have that option with someone that you guys can sit and come up with a mutual agreement and compromise with each other when it comes to these children. Don't be controlling about what the other can and cannot do. Hear them out. You made children together. You are parents together. Compromise and build a strong co-parenting foundation for the sake of yourself, because you're going to go through it just as much as these children going to be taken through of it. But you're gonna go through it a lot because you're on the forefront of it. You're dealing with it firsthand, on the telephone, in person, in court, in child support. You're dealing with that. And then the children are following behind you. Okay, so try to build a strong foundation of co-parenting. Number 12, forgive with full forgiveness. This may take many years, you guys. It may take many years for you to say that I truly have forgave my ex for whatever you guys went through. But in the midst of your forgiveness, don't forget to do these steps, because this is going to help you heal. Number 13, seek counseling. Okay, I always share that in my lifetime, I've been to counseling 4 times, 3 times after my divorce. One was because I was going through a divorce. The second one is because I lost my mother the same year I was going through divorce. And the third time is when I started to date again. I went to counseling, do counseling, join a singles ministry, learn how to cope with what's going on, and learn how to date again. Learn how to date yourself first. Then learn how to date again and learn how to cope with what's going on in this major life-changing event. It's a life-changing event when you're going through a divorce. Number 14, and this is the last one on the list. So number 14, develop a support group for you and your children, whether that are friends that have kids or friends that don't have kids. That'll be a good support for you either way it go. They have kids, it's going to be a good support for all of y'all. Y'all do stuff together. Invite them over, have a barbecue, have game night, go to the pool. You know, get your family together. Sometimes some people may have to move closer to their family. There's nothing wrong with that. That's support. Don't allow anyone to tell you that you shouldn't do that if that's what you're needing. Get that support group together with a positive group of people. A positive group of people that are rooting for you guys, that are supporting you. And I don't care, again, going back. You can be all woman, you can be all man. We need a village. We need a village, a supportive village for these children. Don't forget your village. And don't feel like less than because you need help. That's a part of you fighting for yourself after this divorce. Don't be ashamed. Don't feel less than. Don't feel weak because you need help. Seek help in a positive manner. There's nothing wrong with that. I was one day, I had to come to a conclusion. I moved back home to be closer to my family because I needed my family. And I did that for myself. My daughter had went on to college. This was like she was approaching her 2nd year in school. And I had a conversation with her. My oldest daughter is now 24. I had a conversation with her and I asked her, I said, hey, will you be okay? Because we were living in Atlanta. We didn't have family there. I went through a divorce there. All my family was in Florida. And during this time, I was like, okay, my daughter's gone off to college. I got one gone, one still at the house. And I asked my daughter in college, I said, would you be okay if I decide to leave Atlanta and go back to Florida? Because I need to be closer to my family. I needed to get well. I wasn't well. And although it may look well, I was not well in the inside. And when she said yes, I felt a relief on me because I didn't want to leave her if she needed me there. I talked to my baby girl. That's that open communication. I talked to my baby girl. I said, listen, This is what we're going to do. And then I talked to her about the benefits of her. You got family down here that's going to be here to support you. You got family in Georgia, only an hour away from where we're moving to, that can come and get you, and you can be around a supportive group of family, because I needed that. She needed that. My older daughter had left the nest. She's pursuing her college degree. But I had to do that to get well, okay? And those are the steps that I have, and I'm going to close this up because I don't want to keep you long on this video. But in closing, it's never easy dealing with a divorce. It's never easy. It's even harder to deal with it and forget about yourself. You cannot forget about yourself. I can't stress that enough. Because as we know, children grow up, they leave the nest, they get married, they come back home with their families. Lord forbid that any of our children have to go through a divorce, but if they do, what are we going to teach them about being well? And I'm going to flip this and be a little transparent. You have to be well also in a marriage. You got to be well, period. But since we on this segment about being well after a divorce, fighting for your life. Your life is at stake. Years are at stake. Time is at stake. You cannot play around with your life with foolishness after a divorce. You got to keep your mind focused on the importance. As hard as that is. And what I am saying, it took me a while to get here. And that's why I want to share it with you guys, because you can grasp this at the early stages of divorce before it's damaging to all parties involved. Do these steps. In my opinion, I strongly recommend it. Add on to some things that you think that you need that is also beneficial. Like I say, this is just some of them I wanted to share. But don't play around with your life. You have to be healthy physically, mentally. And that mental plays such a strong impact on our physical. People go through a divorce, they get high blood pressure, they stressing, having strokes years later. Don't do that to yourself, especially not prematurely because of stress. I just had to take a breath because you need to set yourself free of whatever it is you're holding on to dealing with a divorce. Set yourself free so that you can be well. If you're holding on to it, that unforgiveness, whatever it is, whatever it may be, that envy, that want to pay them back for what they did to you, if you're holding on to it, you got to let it go. And when you let it go, just because you didn't pay them back, don't mean you lost. Let it go. Let them say whatever they want to say, and sometimes that's going to happen at the early stages. Everybody want to tell their side of the story. They want to be angry at each other and throw some hurting words out there. Don't get caught up. Don't allow it to ruin your life. Don't allow it to ruin your future, okay? Fight, 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 okay? I hope you enjoyed this video tonight. I'm going to close out. But I can't stress it enough. Fight for your life. Fight for your life after a divorce. Thank you for tuning in tonight. Hit the like button, hit the share button, subscribe, and invite some other people to definitely take a look at this video and to also look at my other videos on my channel. So I appreciate your time. Until next time, Tea Talks with Joe. Thanks for tuning in.